Hey guys, we're here with the one and only Steven, who won his Worlds brackets with Exosister. You're going to Japan, baby. How are you feeling with this deck still?
I feel pretty good. Obviously, I scrubbed out the main event because I forgot how to play after the playoffs, which was fine. I would take that trade off every day. But yeah, the deck really performed what I needed to in the playoffs, so really happy and looking forward to Japan and deck building for that because that format is going to be interesting.
Awesome. Oh, let's get into the list.
So I played similar lists to the remote. The one thing that kind of changed was I wanted to play more breakers because I think hand traps are okay into a wider field, but into cash specifically, it just feels that breakers are better. So that's kind of changed. Other than that, some of the lineups are mostly similar. So Exosister cards, 3 Martha, 3 Elise, 2 Stella, 2 Sophia, then 1 Marine. So I think this should be the standard lineup. Now, Martha's the only one that triggers when cards move from the grave. You're triggering your own Martha constantly, whether it's with Michaelis or whether it's with Returnia, so you get multiple XYZs off that. Any one of these names plus any other one is 8k going second. And because you're playing a lot of breakers, it means that even if your opponent ends with a half decent board, you can still just get there sometimes. Like, this deck has a lot of tech spots, and I think people are used to having 12 hand traps I talk about, but I'm having 15 breakers after side a lot of the times. And so even people full combo with cash, you can kill. The other nice thing with this deck is that it's very smooth how it plays, in the sense that you're doing your play. If you're going for game shot and they interrupt it somehow, you just go back to your regular fallback board. You're not committing yourself large, you're not making access code and getting it impermed and then having the game lose. So it being able to change its strategy midway through combo is nice. And then, so like I said, I expected a breaker format, so I played still with 3 Automa, 2 Second Automa. A lot of people want to play multiple of this. This card's just 1 card, so it's not that efficient. It's fine to draw it, but you don't need to draw a super large amount of them. You play 3 Automa because if people are on breakers, this card is full combo. Martha does not get you that far by itself. Any X plus Martha is combo, but this card by itself is Magnifica plus any spell or trap. And if you're playing into breakers, you want your cards to be efficient as possible. So if they break and don't kill you, you have more follow-up with your cards. So I would not cut this down. Side one out a lot. If it was a hand trap format, then sure, play more, swap the ratios. But for this format, this is correct. And spell cards, 3 pot. This is the most broken card in the entire event. I think this event really made me realize how dumb this card is, because I'm playing breakers and goes in, and so people look at my games and it's like, oh, you're always opening what you need. It's like, yeah, half the time it's just because of this card, because if I'm going first, it gives me the broken cards going first. I'm going second, it gives me broken card going second, and I really hope this card is hit in the future. It's just absurd. 3 packs. This card's great to set, especially because it gives the option of either giving follow-up, or it gives you the ability to extend if they do something weird and touch their grave like they're not supposed to. It's also nice because it can just weird interactions. People play in the back row, where also in top 4 match I got Dark Ruler, chained this, and then it was able to change my effects. So just setting this instead of using it immediately gaming for follow-up is really nice. And then I play 3 Thurman Lance. This card is insane. One of the issues with some of the breakers is you can answer the monsters, but you lose to a back row. Book really hurts, so just having answer for that is good. Also, people are on their normal breakers, or Econ and books, and so just being able to protect Magnifica is fine. People play this in cash, so it's also fine here. Magnifica's a bit better than Riser, I think. Then 2 book, just because it's another good tech card. I also have Evenlies in here, so I want to be able to bait the Evenly somehow, and book or pots is another way of doing it. And then other cards in the main deck, 3 Dark Ruler, and then double Evenly. I want to play more Evenly. I think Evenly is better versus cash, but the fact that it needs a bait against other decks is what makes it worse, but Dark Ruler is always good by itself. So that's just the mindset of that. I also played 5 because that's kind of the math behind it. You should play 5 of them. It's just better to decide more afterwards. Here he goes in MVP of every tourney I played in. Yeah, ban these cards, but until they're banned, I'm going to abuse them. Not really sorry about it. And then engine cards, 2 Returnia, 1 Vadis. The one game I got deburied after cracking his board, and I was just able to play on their turn with this card. The multiple effects come up where you're even overlaying. You can also trigger your own Martha with this. So after I gained deburied, I had Martha, 2 Elise. So this gave me 2 XYZs. I banished a card from the grave, trigger Martha, overlay with that, and I get 2 interruptions like that. I wouldn't cut these out. The other one, you can side one out against really heavy combo matchups like Rika. Beam versus Cash, you go through the second one, because if your Michaelis sticks, you can just search this if things get weird. And then 3 Imperm, because it's a pseudo breaker and hand trap.
So how many in the main?
41 in the main, just because I'm bad deck building, everyone tells me, and I don't think the math's that different. Just being able to fit more cards into side out, I think is very efficient. No shifter in the list. I didn't play it in my or in my main event list either. It's too much cash, and I just think that there are, like I said in my other videos, shifter's a great card. I'm not arguing that, but there are just other options now. In tier format, you had to play shifter, but I'm fine drawing Dark Ruler evenly over that card, so I just decided not to play it. Extra deck, almost the exact same for the main event. My main deck list was the same for the playoffs and the main event. The extra deck and side deck changed slightly. So 3 Michaelis, 2 Caspatel. You can play 2 of this over 2 Jabreen. Not Jabreen. 2 Jabreen. I've never had the third one, either of them come up, or the second one of this, or the third one of this come up. Like they're both kind of trivial. You can probably cut them both and play out some other tech card. One Sophia, this is the Dweller effect. This is also bounce, so that's nice. And 2 Manipulator. This card's in obviously a crack card. It's 2 interruptions by itself and dodges book. The one thing is like when you're playing against Cash, people get like the shotgun stuff where it's like, oh, summon Fenrir. I'm gonna shotgun Returnia or Magnifica. And the issue with that is you only have 2 interruptions from your main board. So if you're just shotgunning every card, eventually one of their monsters is gonna stick, and then they just go through their entire Cash combo. So what you need to do in that matchup is you let your opponent summon Fenrir. That's fine. What do they do now? They either put another body on board, and then they overlay. And now when you Magnifica Banish, they lose, yes, 2 bodies, but also Fenrir effects now not usable for the rest of the turn. So you always attack the XYZ, not always, but more than not, you let them commit more, attack the XYZs, and then interact with those because you're trading more bodies and they're losing their effects and they can't play later in the turn. And Battle Phase doesn't threaten this card because you can just tag it out in Battle Phase, you return near. Like there's times where you can banish this early, they summon Fenrir later, and they go Battle Phase, banish it, and you just tag on the Mikhail so they can't even do anything to it. So knowing to play passive into that matchup is really important. Then other tech cards, Exoton, Uska, Zeus. I think these are standard. Exoton, the Zeus is nice. I never want to play Zeus if I can't board wipe and then have Zeus live, and then Exoton fulfills that role. This comes up. And then 1 Dawn, just for Kaiju, don't play Azalea. You have spot removal, you have 5 copies of Returnia through packs and Prosperity and Lances, so I just think that having it for Kaiju is better. I play 1 Goddess because there are a lot of good players on Pearly, and in theory this might come up in Once in a Blue Moon. Whatever the 15th spot was is irrelevant, I think, so it's just there in the event I needed it. And then side deck, 3 Ash, branded. You also side this in going first, or going second if you're afraid that they make you go first. It didn't happen in the playoffs, happened a few times in the main event. 2 Shifter again, I don't think this card is justifiable at 3, it's just not good enough. People call me crazy, but yes, it has a lot of good matchups, but there are other options to play. You can have a more diverse side deck, and I think it's fine. I played 2 Herald because again I was afraid of Pearly. I got a lot of good players on Pearly, so I didn't want them to just make Noir and then have me lose because they're not triggering anything. So I'll just hard draw this. 3 Thrust, insane going second with all the breakers. I played 1 Dark Hole because this is out to Iblee. And it actually did come up in the playoffs where I got Ibleed and then he triggered Shang or Rysar, and then I thrust into Dark Hole and I was able to clear Ibleed like that. Lost that game, but it's obviously good. And then the nice thing about this is this also gets you the engine, so if you breaker them normally, it still gets you to Returnia or Vadis, which is obviously insane cards. The third evenly because it's really good versus Cash, and then 3 Judgment Arrows to go first card because it just answers anything that's problematic, evenly Lightning Storm and whatnot. My main event list just changed slightly. I actually cut the shifters completely, didn't miss them at all, and then just played more thrust targets instead. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the deck profile. Yet again, congrats. You're going to Japan, and well, any last shoutouts?
Shout out to all Council Urbina as well as all the Hamilton guys for all the support and testing, as well as shout out to Ryan, you helped me with this deck. Basically just screamed at me to play Lance for a good few days straight, and it was one of the better cards of the event. And also shout out to Sean because I brought his high rarity stuff, and I'm not forgetting to shout out this time because I forgot last time. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much.